they're slowly trickling in.
The Jams. Nakita ko na kagad si Coach Jams.
All
Mr.
right.
Terrado. Oh, Romel. Kumusta, Boss Romel? Coach Stephen Ong, yes.
Yep. So we got a good size attendees, and good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to our panelists, Doc Teddy and Rick broadcaster Rick Olivares. Rick, can you start the ball rolling?
It is my distinct honor to do the introduction for a man who I've followed for the longest time. He is the reason why I started watching UAP basketball. As a high schooler, kapatid ko yung kapatid na si kaklase ko, yung kapatid niya si Jun Reyes, who became a pro also. Coach Chot, an 8-time PBA champion, 5-time Coach of the Year. The man with a winning record against China. How many coaches can say that? But this man had a winning record, 4-1 if I'm not mistaken.
80%.
You know, huh? And this man has led the national team, Gilas national team, to glory. In fact, since 2013, it's been on an ascent, a non-stop ascent. And this man started it all. Coach Vincent Chot Reyes is also a certified Marshall Goldsmith executive and team coach.
Yep.
And for everyone's information, Marshall Goldsmith, that's the world's #1 guru in coaching. And last but not least, Coach Chot is a certified Agile and Scrum leadership coach, which makes him the perfect person to talk about this wonderful topic that we've got today, which is all about leadership. Without further ado, Vincent Chot Reyes.
Thank you, Rick. Hi, Ariel and Doc Teddy. Thanks for inviting me. I'd like to say good afternoon to everyone who's in the chat today. I'm unfortunately, I think this entire program, you've had a number of very established coaches already come in and talk about a lot of the X's and O's. So I thought today, let's veer a little bit away from the technicalities and talk about something that is not really technical, not about the X's and O's, but I think is very, very important for any coach, and that is the heart for a leader. And you know, through my work and my practice as an executive and business coach, I've been able to put together a coaching, a leadership model that we're going to share in a bit, and then I'll just share it very quickly, and then we'll open it up for questions and answers later on. I want it to be very interactive so the coaches can just fire away and ask their questions in the Q&A or the chat boxes. Thanks for having me.
Dr. Teddy, I'll give you the honor of asking the first question, your question, so that we can start with the presentation.
Thanks, Coach Ariel. Coach Chot, it's a pleasure having you here. My question is, and this is the question I usually ask at the end of presentations, but we're going to start off with this one. With your long-time experience with the national team as the national team coach and in the PBA, could you kindly give us 5 qualities that a basketball coach should possess in order to be successful? Thanks, Coach.
Yeah, thanks for that question, Ted. That's something that I was really grappling with and thinking about through my 30 years coaching as a professional basketball coach, and then my other work as an entrepreneur up to today, and as a network executive and a CEO. And I've come to this model, which is really forged on failure as much as success. I mean, a lot of people remember me for you know what I have achieved, but except for the very few in our age, Mr. Rick Olivares and the rest, I think people forget that, you know, I've won 5 Coach of the Year awards, but I've also been fired 3 times, in fact, more than that, from different teams. And I've had my big share of failure. And you know, this reminds me in this pandemic during the COVID days where people are worried about their jobs, they're anxious, they're fearful. We run a business with Tony and Guy, and we have 100+ employees. And I give a lot of talks and workshops to some organizations and executives I work with. And inevitably, people are worried about, life after the lockdown, post-COVID. May babalikan pa ba kami? May trabaho pa ba kami? And I can really relate because that was the same situation I faced in late 96 when Pure Foods decided not to renew my contract. Luckily, Santa Lucia hired me right away. But, after we took Santa Lucia to their first ever trophy in PBA history, that third place finish in 1997. Within 1 month, right after that, they fired me. I got fired by Santa Lucia. So in a span of 8 months from December 1996 and August 1997, I actually got fired twice from my job, and I was winning. I was delivering on every important performance metric for a coach. Yet, in a span of 8 months, two teams decided to fire me, and that's where really the value of leadership came into fore, and that gave me pause to think. And that's why when people today are worried about their future, they're worried about their jobs. I can fully relate because at that point I had a very young family. They were still all in elementary. I had very little savings. Alam nyo naman, di ba? As coaches, we're not like network executive. We have severance packages, insurance plans. As coaches, one day ito yung sweldo mo. When you get fired, the next day you're zero. So I actually had that faced that situation where iniisip ko ano ipapakain ko sa pamilya ko bukas. And the second part, when you get fired from a job, when you lose your job, is really the hit on your self-esteem. 'Di ba? Yung parang wala kang pakinabang, wala kang silbi sa mundong ito. And that's, I've been there. I've been through those things. And so when people talk to me now about how they're feeling today in this COVID, in the midst of this pandemic, I can relate. And I wanted to start off with that reminder because my heart of a leader model was forged not only from the victories and the successes, but it was really forged from hardship, from defeat, from failure and rejection. And my realization at that time was really, it doesn't matter as a coach, and I address all the coaches in the audience today. It's very important for us coaches to have the technical skills, the X's and O's and all the fundamentals. But it really, the one thing that we have to remember is that we really win through our people. We win through our people. It doesn't matter how technically adept we are. We can have all of the offenses and defenses and the great philosophies. But in the end, we really win through our people. And that for me is what the heart of a leader is all about. We have to remember that the coaches and what this pandemic is teaching us in this disruptive digital world where everything is unpredictable. When everything is unpredictable, it is really about the leaders who are able to capture the hearts of their people. And so for us coaches in basketball or in sports, we win when we are able to capture the hearts of our players. We're able to engage them. We're able to coach with empathy. And that's where the higher level of leadership is about. It's not only about coaching, it's really about leadership. So coaches, if there's one thing that I want to begin with, I hope you start thinking of yourselves as leaders, not simply as coaches, but truly as leaders of men and women, as the leaders of our people. And what we want to do is capture the heart of our people. And so the heart of the leader model is very simple, and I wanted to share it here on the screen. Can you all see it? Can you see it now? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, coach.
So it's very
Yes, Coach.
simple. If you'll notice, it's shaped it's diamond shaped because, like I said, that's forged in blood, sweat, and tears. That's forged in fire. And diamonds, the greater the pressure, the stronger the diamond, right? So this is a model that I have. This is a accumulation of all the learnings I've had in my life. And at the very midst of it is the heart of a leader. And it is perfect because we have, through our success in Gilas, we've been known as PUSO, right? And this for me is what PUSO is all about. So the heart of a leader is very simple, and all you have to remember are is the acronym HEART. The heart of a leader, the foundation of that is health. And health is the starting point of everything. The foundation of the heart of a leader is health. It is nourished by emotional intelligence, powered by agility, an agile mindset. It is sustained by resilience, and it is scaled by teammanship or team leadership. That's it. I love working with models because when you have a model, it's easy to explain, madali ikwento. So those who are listening today, in less than 1 minute, you understand the model, and now madali nyo ituro, madali, if you believe in it, madali nyo explain. I'll just go through it little by one, the little details in this model. These are what comprise my entire workshop. When I work with executives or organizations, it's a whole day, 8-hour workshop, or we just finished 3 Saturday workshop with another group. We just finished yesterday, 3 Saturdays. And basically, we deep dive into the elements and the components of this model. But it's very simple. So at the heart, at the very core, the foundation of the heart of a leader is deep health. It's not only physical health. By deep health, I mean you're healthy not only physically, but also everything that you see on the outer periphery of the model. It's not only physical health. It's about emotional health, mental health, spiritual health, relational health. And by spirit, I mean fighting spirit. I'm not necessarily referring to religion or any kind of health, but really a fighting spirit. So the foundation is physical health, and you think about it, everything that we do as a leader, it stems from our being healthy. And a lot of times, and I see this especially in organizations, in with the leaders and the CEOs that I work with, iniisip nila, tagtatrabaho sila, ginagawa ko to para sa pamilya ko, para ipakain, para sa mga anak ko. And I just ask them the question, yes, that's important, and I champion you for it. But what is all that worth if you're not there anymore? Because pinabayaan mo na yung sarili mo, pinabayaan mo na your health and all that, and you end up losing all of this. And when we work with executives, we ask them, think about it. What are your problems at work? Di ka makafocus. You're easily distracted. You have a short attention span. Chances are these all have a physical root. Di ba? Anong oras ka natulog kagabi? Anong oras ka gumising? Nag-breakfast ka ba? Nag-workout ka ba? Nag-inuman ba kayo? A lot of the problems that we have at work, whether you're a writer or a broadcaster like Rick or Ted or Ariel, a lot of the problems we have, chances are it has a physical root. So the foundation of our heart model really is deep health, because when you are in good health, and we see this today in the pandemic, and everyone reminds everyone to work out and exercise, and even on CNN, on TV, you hear all the experts saying, when you exercise and you work out, it leads to sharper mental acuity, and it leads to better emotional well-being. And that comes from being physically in good health. Just being able to move, work out, and break a sweat, that's very, very important. And I'd like to, I think that's a starting point as well of my coaching philosophy. When I was still coaching, in all the basketball teams I handled, from Pure Foods to Coca-Cola to Talk and Text to Gilas, I always tell my players, and you can ask them this, I always tell my players, our objective is very simple. We want to be the hardest working, most physically conditioned team in the league. That's it. Before every tournament, that's all we want to do. We want to be the hardest working, best conditioned team in the league. Because those things are completely within our control. A lot of things in sports, in the game, in the tournament, they're beyond your control. Kung mas malakas ang kalaban mo, kung sinong schedule, a lot of things are beyond your control. But your ability to work hard and be in the best shape possible, that's completely within your hands. So my philosophy as a basketball coach starts from deep health. Really, we want to be the hardest working, most best conditioned team in the entire league, and that's our starting point. And think about it. And I like to address the coaches. I'm sure most of you, napanood nyo ba yung episodes 3 and 4 ng Last Dance? Coaches, I'm sure, yeah,
Yes.
everybody here. Now I want to ask you, what was the turning point? Diba? What was the one thing that MJ and the Bulls did when they lost to the Pistons in Game 7? The one thing that they did that enabled them to win their first championship. Tingnan nga natin kung alam nyo. Ang sagot, coaches, put it in the chat box. What is the one
Okay.
thing that Michael Jordan and the Bulls did that enabled them to win
Ayan.
their first championship?
Meron na sumagot, Coach Chot. Good.
Yon, they went to the gym, weight
Yeah,
room, work
galing.
hard, go to the gym, nagpalaki ng katawan, physical conditioning, perfect. So, what is that? That goes right into the heart of our foundation. They had a great coach already. They had great players already. They didn't talk about, oh, we had a new wrinkle to our triangle offense. They didn't talk about, oh, we had better technical skills and footwork. They said, we hit the gym. We hit the gym. We put in the work in the weight room. So what is that? Endurance, stamina, physical conditioning. So I don't need to belabor that point. When you watch Gilas, when we are playing our 5th game in 6 games, again, when we're playing our 5th game in 6 days against Croatia, Greece, Puerto Rico, Argentina, Senegal, and we're still in the ball game and we're competitive in every game. That's not about, we're not the biggest, for sure, we're the smallest. We're definitely not the best or most talented. But that's a testament to our conditioning, our physical health. That is the starting point. It is the foundation of everything you want to do as a leader and as a coach. So ask yourself the question, dear coaches, what is the endurance and what is the level of stamina of my teams? Better yet, ask yourself the question, as a leader, do you know your numbers? Coaches, we all know our numbers. We know our offensive, our average, offensive, defensive, all our statistics, alam natin. But as a coach, do you know your numbers? What is your heart rate before you exercise, after you exercise? What is your cholesterol level? What are these things? What's your blood sugar count? You've got to know your numbers. This is about being in great physical health. And when you can see in the model up below exercise, breath work, we do a lot of breathing exercises. Ask any player in Gilas, Talk and Text, Coca-Cola. And this is something I learned as well from Phil Jackson himself. I had the opportunity to visit Tex Winter and Phil Jackson in their practices with the Lakers. And that's what they do every single day before practice. They are doing their breathing exercises. So if you take a look at Gilas before our games, the night before, that's what we are doing. We're all doing our breath work. So to be in the best shape, to be in deep health, you've got to be able to put in exercise, workout, do your breathing exercises, and sleep recovery is as much a factor as anything in deep health. Now, because you're in good health, chances are you will have a better chance of being emotionally intelligent. You have a high EQ. And it is said, there's research in medium.com today that says, well, not today, but they say in the 21st century, the most important skill is the ability to self-regulate. The most important skill in the 21st century, our ability to self-regulate, and that is emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is our ability to control our emotions, to manage our emotions, and because of that, manage the emotions of our team and our players as well. Alam natin yun, di ba? Self-regulation, stimulus, response. Self-regulation allows us to widen that space so that we are not immediately making rash decisions, so that we can step back, take a deep breath, and make better choices. And that's where mindfulness comes into play. Okay, and I have certification on mindful leadership as well. And when you learn how to breathe, you become more mindful. You become more attuned to the present. Again, if you are a follower of Phil Jackson and his Zen Buddhism concepts, how important is mindfulness in the Bulls scheme of things. So, balik tayo sa last dance. Okay. So, pumunta na sila sa gym. Tama yung sagot nyo. Ito na, finally, Eastern Conference Finals. Game 4 against the Pistons. What was the turning point na sinabi nila? What was the turning point that allowed them to finally beat the Pistons? Ano yung nangyari sa Game 4 na yon? Tignan nga natin, who can pick it off?
Ako, alam ko yun
Ah,
Alam ko yun Alam ko tayo. First to type in.
Tama, don't react.
Ayan na.
Pippen was fouled hard. He did not retaliate. Don't be the... Yes, exactly.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Another mark. Another mark.
You got it right. Yep.
You
So what is that? Ano yung ginawang yon ni Scottie Pippen? That's self-regulation. That was a good determinant of the level of emotional intelligence that the Bulls as a team now had developed. That's why they won their first championship. They didn't win their first championship because they got better or they got more technically skilled or whatever, or of course, Phil Jackson's coaching was very important. Michael Jordan's leadership, all of their skills, that's all important. I'm not saying they're not important. But what made them turn the corner? What was the difference maker? Diba? What was the turning point? They went to the gym and they got more emotionally intelligent. That's it. Think about everything. How did the Bulls win their first championship? They went to the gym. They became more emotionally intelligent. And when we have a chance to go through our actual workshop, then we can talk about the other things that are in this model. Goldman is the one of the top thought leaders on emotional intelligence, and I give my workshop participants actual tools to build their own emotional intelligence and as well the emotional intelligence of their teams and their players. And now, because of that emotional intelligence, that is now powered by because you are now able to step back, make good decisions, and you're not reactive to every quick thing that comes your way. Now you improve your agility, your ability to adapt, your ability to see things as they are happening, and your ability to make the right decision. So agility is really about being able to sense that that's the situation. And we coaches, I'm sure you all have that situation. You're very familiar with this. You put a really good game plan together, pinaghandaan nyo, you scouted this team to death, and now come game time, nothing is working. Nothing is working. Everything is going to the shit. So what are you going to do? Right? Some coaches will say, stick to the game plan. Stick to the game plan. Some coaches will say, time to shift. Time to make an adjustment. This is where our agility is going to be tested. And when one of the things that really gave me great pleasure, Kinito Henson, I know Kinito was here last week or something. He called me and he said and sent me a message. And Kinito says, Chot, do you remember that Argentina game? Sabi ko, yeah, Kinito, why? And sabi niya, after the game, I was walking out with Prigioni. And sabi ni Prigioni, wow, this team gave us a lot of problems. So Kinito said, why? We couldn't read what they were doing. And even in the post-game interview, the coach of Argentina said, this was our most comfortable game. We couldn't read what the Philippines was doing. This is testament to the agility of Gilas. And this is how Gilas is able to compete, even if you give us 7 days practice. Diba? You give us 3 days preparation, 7 days practice, 2 weeks practice, or once a week practice. We're going to find a way to come in and we're going to compete. Why? Because we have built agility. We have built-in agility in the things we do. And agility is driven by a growth mindset. And you can see here the growth mindset. Carol Dweck says people are either fixed mindset, growth mindset. Fixed mindset says oy, ang galing ko na dito, ba't pa ako magpapalit? You know, I've been very successful here. Why do I need to change? Okay, I'm already very good at what I'm doing. Growth mindset says, I'm very good, I'm accomplished at what I'm doing, but you know what? There's a lot I still need to learn, and I still need to continue to grow and improve myself. And having a growth mindset is the number one precursor to agility. You have to constantly be learning, improving. That's the only way you can become agile and become adaptable and have an ability to adjust. So coaches, ask yourself the question, how agile are you? Yes, we all want to have a coaching philosophy. Yesterday, Tim Cohn was here. Everybody knows him for his triangle offense. But you know what Tim Cohn said last night? How much that philosophy and that offense has already evolved and expanded. That's agility. And that ability to adjust in practice. Okay, so it's about having a growth mindset. That's very, very important. And that's how we built Gilas. And you all know with Gilas, we like the dribble drive because it allows us to be very agile, to pick spots in the game and to give our space and all that. But when we play a game, for example, the last time when it was about Japan and our dribble drive isn't working, we get Junmar in the ball game and we dump the ball into him, and now we've become a low post playing team. So look at your teams. What are your abilities? Pwede sa loob, pwede sa labas. That's the hallmark of agility. And that agility is sustained by resilience, because we know, especially in sports and in basketball, we are not going to win every game, and we're not going to control every game. We're going to find times when we are down big and things are not working. And the question is, are you going to give up? And I define resilience very simple. It's the ability to come back from the tambak. That's resilience for me. It's bounce back ability. And in Gilas, in my teams, the way we build our resilience, and I get this question all the time, especially now in the pandemic. How are we going to, coach, come and talk to us about resilience? How are we going to bounce back and come back to life after lockdown? And I say the time to build resilience is before a crisis. So don't wait for the crisis to become resilient. So coaches, ask yourself the question now, what are you doing today, okay, to prepare your teams for resilience? I think the Navy SEALs have a great saying for it. They say, the more we sweat in peacetime, the less we bleed in wartime. The more we perspire in peacetime, the less we bleed in wartime. So prepare for resilience. You have to be able to prepare for that. And again, in our full workshops, we teach 8 resilience practices. We talk about grit and so on and so forth. Well, how do you build resilience in your teams, in your players? In our practice, we have resilience drills. We play 5 against 6. 5 guys defended by 6 defenders. We play, sometimes we take out, I'm sure you all know this, we take the air out of the ball para mahirap mag-dribble. Mas mahirap it's going to make it harder. We play 1 versus 2. 1 guy guarded by 2. We don't have referees in our practice. We don't rely on whistles in our practice. We train our players to listen to the voice that matters. So these are the things that we do in our teams to build resilience so that our practices are more difficult than the games. That's how you build resilience. So you ask yourself the question, how resilient and how what is the ability of your team to come back from the tambak, diba? And that's why yung tinatawag na sinasabi na sa Gilas, ba't ba ganun ang Gilas, coach? Parang buwis buhay basketball, ang hirap talunin. Because we will always come back. We will always come back. And the one thing that I am espousing now is not only how to bounce back, but after lockdown, think about not only bouncing back, but how about bouncing forward? Diba? Don't worry about bounce back. There's nothing to go back to anymore. It's going to be a new normal. After May 15 or whenever they lift this whole thing, there is nothing to come back to anymore. It will be a new normal. So forget bounce back. Think about how am I going to bounce forward. So congratulations, coaches, by attending these things. Now you're equipping yourselves. You're thinking of ways how to bounce forward. Now, pag inisip nyo, alam naman natin to, coach. We know emotional intelligence, resilience, grit, they're all important. And chances are, lahat tayo in this webinar today, you all came from that. Lahat tayo, galing tayo sa hirap, lumaki tayo, we got to where we were because we were resilient, because we were gritty, we persevere. Okay, alam natin to na importante ito, that hindi tayo bibigay. We know that we are a product of resilience and emotional intelligence. Yes, that's fine. The question is, as a coach, as a leader, can you teach it? Can you coach resilience? That's the difference. See, so this is where a mentor, or this is where my practice an executive coach comes in, because now I teach leaders and I teach coaches, executives, how to teach. I give them a model and we give them tools how to teach emotional intelligence and how to teach resilience to their people, to their organization. Now, when you take care of your health, you're emotional intelligent, you're agile, and you are resilient, that leads to greater connections, that leads to better connections, and that goes to our final piece of the model, which is teammanship, or as coaches, team leadership, your ability to build teams. And in the end, when you talk about teams, it's about relationships, it's about connections, I don't think you can be called a good coach if you are not first a good team builder. The reason why we need to have good coaches is because there is a big need for a lot of great teams to be built. And that's where now the coaches come in, our ability to build teams. Job number one, again, I have a whole team model, but we don't have to, if we had a whole workshop, we'd go to the nitty gritty, we'd go down to the science of motivation and so on and so forth. But just so you know, the Google had a 10-year study, they called it Project Aristotle, and they figured out what is the number one most important factor to create the perfect team. The answer, number one answer, psychological safety. Psychological safety means I can say what I want and not get into trouble for it. I can even go against the leader's initial desires or wishes and hindi ako mapapahamak dahil doon. And if you take a look at Gilas, and I hope you can ask Jimmy when he comes and talks about how many times we've had our differences, sometimes very emotional, nagsisigawan kami. Minsan sinulat pa nga yun. I think it was Kinito also who wrote about that. Nagsisigawan kami ni T. McClary sa court. I was shouting at him, he was shouting at me. Sabi niya, ba't ba nandyan sa court si, I think Bong Hawkins ba yun? Take him out of the court. Sabi ko, shut up T, just play. Let me coach and you play. So sabi ni, I think it was Kinito, and he wrote in his article the next day in his column, oh, there's trouble brewing at Talk and Text, or in Coca-Cola. Little did they know that's our culture. That's part of our cycle. My players know that they can speak and they can talk back at me. And I'm going to take it because we have built psychological safety. We have built that circle of trust. And that's how you build teams. The starting point is with a shared purpose, not a common purpose, a shared purpose, so that you can build that psychological safety, that circle of trust. And how do you do that? By having great connection with your people. And dear coaches, dear leaders, relationships, connections is a one-on-one thing. Every time I hear a coach telling me, Coach, okay ako with all my players, wala akong problema, that's a red flag, that's impossible. Even when I work with executives, I say, you cannot work with a group of A personality, high-charging individuals and not have problems. It is okay to have problems. It's okay to have differences. The key is to understand how to manage those differences. And then that's where psychological safety comes in. And that's the perfect example of Phil Jackson, Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman knows in the Bulls, he can be who he is. Diba? He can have different colored hair and all that and so on. And remember that scene na nagpaalam siya because he wants to take a vacation, spend 2 days in Las Vegas, right? What is that? Perfect example of high emotional intelligence. on the part of Phil Jackson. Perfect example of emotional intelligence. And so when people ask me how do I handle such difficult players, that's just all emotional intelligence. So that's it. That's in a nutshell the model, our heart of a leader model. Just allow me to end by saying that coaches, I hope you realize this pandemic has exposed what we have known for a while now, and that we are, as a country, the Philippines, we are in the midst of a leadership crisis. I will repeat, we are in the midst of a leadership crisis. Look around you, your communities, organizations, companies, our government. There are many leaders, but there are very, very few good leaders. And so that's why for me, the reason my thinking is the reason we're in a leadership crisis is because the old individual heroic leadership model no longer works. We need a new kind of leader. We need the leader with the heart. We need the leader who can get teams together, have teams of leaders. And I think in the end, that's the story of Gilas. I'd like to say that I was a great leader, but I was not the only leader in Gilas. Jimmy is a great follow-up to this. And that's why I'm not talking too much anymore about relational and teammanship. Let Jimmy talk to you about relationships and all that. And I was saying in Gilas, I had a team of leaders. Gabe Norwood, Jason Castro, Mark Pingris, Ranidel De Ocampo. They were all in their own ways. They were all leaders. We had a team of leaders. So that's the kind of team you want to build, dear coaches. Build the teams of leaders. And that's what's going to take you into this digitally disruptive future. So what's in store for us, we don't know. We cannot predict our future, but we can prepare for it. So when you hear me talking about a future fit leader, that's what future fit means. We cannot future-proof our teams. We cannot future-proof ourselves as leaders because we don't even know what's in the future. We cannot predict it, but we can prepare. And that means becoming future fit. And what does future fit mean? Health, emotional intelligence, agility, resilience, teammanship. And like I say, we are in the midst of a leadership crisis. We need a new kind of leader. But in the same manner that this virus is very contagious, so is great leadership, so is positivism, so is optimism. Dear leaders, dear coaches in the webinar today, be that kind of be that kind of a leader. Great leadership is as well contagious. Be that kind of a leader, be the vaccine. You be the best leader you can be, and you will find how great you can become as a coach. That's all I have. Let's open it up now for a Q&A to all those who have any questions and want to ask them.
Thanks, Coach Chot. Coach, the questions are coming in. I have a question. You attended some of the Lakers trainings, and could you share with us Tex Winter and the Phil Jackson story?
Very interesting. Tex Winter, they have a very, very interesting relationship. But Phil Jackson never goes against Tex Winter. Because remember, with the Lakers and even with the Bulls, Phil Jackson had a strict no visitor policy. Nobody could get into their practice. Except when Tex Winter brings a guest in. That's why I was able, that was my great fortune to be allowed into his practices because I was the guest of Tex Winter. In fact, when I went, before their practice facility was built in LA, they were practicing at this college. And so I went there to attend, and the coach of the team, the head coach of the NCAA team of that college says, "Yeah, coach, can I help you?" "Yeah, I'm here to attend the Lakers practice." Sabi sa akin ng head coach, "Well, good luck. I can't even get in, and they're practicing in my gym. I can't even get in." So, but then I got in because of influence of Tex with Phil. So the relationship is very interesting. It's very different. It's a joy to have been able to watch, and And Phil Jackson, PJ was really listening and taking into consideration, and he really valued Tech's input. And the first thing I saw, the first practice I went was at the end of practice, Tex and I were going to go out and have dinner or lunch, and I was waiting for him. It was more than 30-40 minutes. Di pa ako makaalis si Tex. Why? Because he was working pa extra drills with one player. The player's name, Kobe Bryant. Very young Kobe. And everything that he was asking was about the triangle. And he was asking every move, pwede ba to? Pwede ba to? Okay, on this corner pass, can I do this? When we swing this here, pig in the blanket on that flash post, can I do this? Can I do that? Every single little detail, Kobe was asking Tex. And Tex was very patiently explaining, yes, pwede yan. No, hindi yan pwede. Yes. And the one thing, I can remember this so clearly, pinag-aawayan nila palagi. Galit na galit si Tex because si Kobe had a habit of jumping. Di ba? He's so athletic, he can jump and tagal niya sa ere before he makes that pass. And that drove Tex nuts. Never jump, never leave your feet to make a pass. And Kobe would always, kids sasabihin niya, come on coach, your old style. I can stay in the air forever, sabi ni Kobe. And sabi ni Tex, inamin niya, yeah, he hardly he commits a turnover when he does this, but that's just who he is. But that's the one thing. And Tex was very, very frugal, sobrang matipid. We went in, he has a Toyota pickup, and it had 152,000 something miles in it already. Sabi ko, Tex, you're an assistant coach in the NBA. Ano mo naman bumili ka ng bagong kotse? Tatawa-tawa lang siya. Sabi niya. And then yung kanyang, actually it wasn't a pickup, it was, I forgot the car. It's a big car. And then so he'll drive it. Pag nasa stoplight na kami, papatayin niya yung, pag mag-minor na siya, papatayin niya yung aircon. Tapos tatawa-tawa siya. Sabi niya, kailangan patayin niya. I have to shut it down because or else my car will, mamamatay daw yung makina. And so we went to this, I was ready to treat him to a nice steak dinner. No. We went to this sandwich joint, some very plain rinky-dink sandwich joint, and we went there, had a burger, and I said, Tex, why did we go here? I could have treated you out to wherever you want. And he said, no, the owner of this place is a big Lakers fan. He doesn't make me pay. So palagi daw libre. So dito na lang tayo kumain. And to top it all, so every game, so we watch a game in the at the Spectrum in the Staples Center. So every game they serve food. They serve food, right? Pagkain ganyan. PJ doesn't touch his food. Tex, uubusin niya lahat ng pagkain niya. So sa Lakers kasi after every game, they have what they call a family room, which is a room right beside the players' locker room. And there's a huge spread. There's a buffet. So dun kami naghihintay. After the game, we're going to wait there. There's a special door from the dugout. Dun dadaan yung players so that they don't pass outside. So they go straight to that room. And that's where all their family, mga asawa nila, dun naghihintay. So we're there. That's where I wait for Tex. I was there with Nancy, Tex's wife. So he comes out and pauwi na kami. And then, wait. I have to go back. Akyat ulit si Tex. He goes back to go to Phil Jackson, the coach's office, PJ's office. Why? Kukunin niya yung pagkain ni PJ. Kasi hindi kinakain ni PJ yung pagkain niya. Kinukuha ni Tex yun, inuuwi niya yun. Sabi niya, sayang. That's a kind of coach the Tex Winter is. Very frugal, very pragmatic. It's really OG, really old style, but I love him to death. I really learned so much from that old guy. And then same thing with Phil Jackson. And people don't know, nahuli ko doon the first time that PJ hindi ko yata pwede sabihin dito. No? Sige, next kwento na lang yan.
Almost.
Chismis, wag na.
Okay.
But yeah, have lots of stories with the time with the Lakers. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing, Coach.
Yeah.
Thanks, Coach.
There's a question. Okay, sige, Coach. One more.
No, there's one more story with Kobe.
Sige,
One
Coach,
time
go.
I was with my wife, si Cherry. First time niya. So she was so excited. This was the Super Lakers team to So we were there because kilala na ako nung mga tao doon. So they knew me already, then my wife. So sabi niya, yeah, come in, just take a picture with anyone. They're all fine. The Lakers practice facility. You go in the back and then there's like a waiting room before you go to the court. So hintay ka lang doon. And then doon ako sinusundo ni Tex to go into the court itself. So hintay kami doon. That was the Super Lakers team. Karl Malone comes in. Hi, picture. Shaq, picture. Gary Payton comes in. So, syempre, ang hinihintay namin pareho si Kobe. So, Kobe comes in. So, same thing. So, my wife, Cherry, puts up her camera, takes a picture. Hi, Kobe, get a picture. Sabi, what are you doing? You can't do that. Talagang galit na galit. That was trauma talaga my wife with that incident. But, that was because Kobe was coming from Denver. That was at the height of his issues with the rape and so on and so forth. So he was very about it. But binawi naman ni Kobe because when he found out, he said sorry, and then he actually signed a Kobe Bryant number 8 basketball card dedicated to Ice. Manako si Ice, he has a signed mahal na yun ngayon. To Ice, dear Ice, it's signed by Kobe.
Wow.
So he made it up to me naman. He was just about that time. So dami kong storya dyan. It was fun times, good times with PJ and Tex especially. Let's take questions.
Thank you for sharing, Coach. Good afternoon. From Ron Carlos. What do you think are the advantage and disadvantage between our Gilas teams rebuilding now in preparation as compared to how you build your past team? So,
it's hard to say, and I don't want to comment because I'm no longer the coach. But I don't know if there's any advantage, but I'm sure there is a disadvantage, and that disadvantage is just time. As well as our Gilas teams played, we didn't even get to you haven't even seen the best of us. You haven't even seen us at our peak. I mean, Jimmy and I and the players, sometimes we talk about it. The team that you saw in 2013 against Korea, and then the team, more so the team you saw in the 2014 in the Worlds, right? The reason we played there, because I think that was our most prepared. And by most prepared, I mean 1 month preparation. We were given 1 month to play the best teams in the world. 1 month, as in July 28 or something, we arrived to Miami, and that was the first time the players met Andre Blatch. That was not the first time we practiced. The first time lang sila nagkakilala. Can you imagine if we had 2 months, if we had 3 months? So the one disadvantage really that any Gilas team faces always is just time. Just to get time to come together, to understand each other, and get to play to the best of their ability. We have not yet seen a Gilas team go out and play at its peak. And even us, as well as we played in 2014 in the Worlds and in 2013 here in Manila, we were not in our peak. So just perhaps that's one disadvantage. Yeah.
all right. Among your former players in that FIBA World Team 2014, I know Jim is coaching now. Who do you think will be future coaches? You mentioned a lot of leaders. So, I know Ronnie Del just retired. So, sinong tingin mo future sa coaching? May future sa coaching?
Yeah, you're saying Jimmy is coaching now. You didn't know Jimmy was already a coach even before he became a coach. Naglalaro pa lang si Jimmy, coach na talaga siya. He had that mind already. So I think LA will be a great coach. Ranidel, I think Ranidel will turn out to be a pretty good coach, just in his demeanor, his understanding of the game. Gabe Norwood, certainly, I think will turn out to be a very good coach. Everyone there will have their crack at their shot, but I think just aside from Jimmy, it's LA, Ranidel, Gabe. I think they're going to turn out to be pretty good coaches themselves.
Yeah, LA is assistant coach now with Letran.
Yep.
All right. Teddy, there's more questions.
Yeah, daming questions sa Q&A.
Coach, this is a question from Ian. Who do you consider to be your coaching mentor? Thank you.
I started obviously my former coaches when I was still in grade school, in the Ateneo and high school. But one very prominent is Father James O'Brien, who was my coach with the Ateneo Paya Aspirants team, and as well our ethics teacher. And he had very different rules. Yung 1-2 defense niya, yung 1-2 zone, wala kaming gagawing depensa kundi zone. Magkamatayan na lahat zone kami, hindi kami aalis doon. And 1-2 zone, and the top of that zone is our tallest guy, is the center. So at that time it was very different, but I thought that it was very innovative. But also the way he taught, because he's a priest, was very values driven. So tumatak talaga sa akin yun. And then when I was getting serious with coaching, my college coaches, the Narvasa brothers, Oji and Chito, for sure. But my very first real mentor, or well, not mentor that I knew, but the kind of tried to model myself after, was Pat Riley when he was growing up. And so that his first book, I made sure to buy it, the Winner Within. I think that was the very first coaching book that I ever bought ever in my career. And then throughout it evolved. So from Pat, it became PJ, and then I went more. It became very heavy to European coaches when I saw when I went to Buenos Aires in Argentina. In January of the year they won the Olympic gold. They won it in July. I was there in January, and I was already seeing some things that they were doing there. And then that South American and then the European coaches. So, but if I were going to really pinpoint, the earliest ones were Father O'Brien and then Pat Riley, just because he had a very he put it into a nice model and I was able to follow it in the Winner Within. And then of course PJ and Tex, and then some other coaches as well. Coach Baby Dalupan was a big influence as well on my coaching career. But not on the actual, yeah, but in the, you know, because we used to play golf together, because I knew him personally, and yung mga kwentuhan namin ganon was a big part of, you know, my thoughts about coaching.
Thanks, Coach. This is a question from John. I was asked to be a coach at my high school alma mater by my former coach, but I don't have any coaching experience yet. What should I learn first? Thank you.
Good question. It takes me back to my very, very first stint. Paya aspirants, I had no experience. I think that the most important thing as a new coach, you've got to be very, very strong in fundamentals. I think you have to be not only proficient, not only solid, you got to be absolutely brilliant in the basics. And you have to be able to teach it. So that's the first thing you have to learn. Learn all the fundamentals and learn how to teach it. I think that's the thing that a lot of coaches forget. They try to understand the moves, the skills, the exercise, and all, but how to teach it. And I think that's very important. So an ability to communicate is very important. You don't need to communicate in English, whether it's Tagalog, Visayan, whatever. So I think that's the most important thing. And then when you have that, then you can figure out what you need. I hope I can give you more, but what I find is in a situation like this, when there's a lot of unknowns, you start with the fundamentals, with the basics. From there, you will find out what's the next step to take. And then from there, you'll find out what's the next step, and then the next step, and then the next. All I can say is take a look at where you want to go, what you want to achieve, and then start with the fundamentals, and then understand that it's a step, then take it step by step from there. Don't get too bewildered or be awed by the big picture first. Yes, understand the big picture, but then take it step by step.
Coach Chot, Atot Lao has a question. He's asking, being a great leader that you are, how do you deal with politics surrounding teams?
basketball teams.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
There's only one real way to deal with politics. It's well, essentially two real ways. Way is you ride it, you go with the flow, you ride it, or you get out of it. Diba? There's no real in between there. It's either you ride it, you go with the flow, and you swallow a lot of the things that you don't necessarily believe in, but you swallow it because you want to do this because you love coaching or because you need this job, whatever that is. And when I give a lot of when I get a lot of questions, even in organizations, they ask me, Coach, ayoko talaga dito eh. Sabi ko, umalis ka. Kailangan ko to para pakainin pamilya ko. Paano ko bubuhayin yung pamilya ko? Ganun naman pala eh. Tiisin mo. I mean, that's very simple, right? We always have a choice. Our choice is to stay where we are or to get out. Now, if we need to, where we are now, to be able to feed our family, we have to swallow it. So to answer your question, same thing, Rick. With politics, it's either you go with the flow. I don't think you can fight it because you cannot fight the politics and coach your team at the same time. That's going to be very difficult. That's going to lead to burnout. It's either you go with the flow or you get out of it. And and in my career, I'm sure you would have noticed I've done both. I've gone with the flow and I've gone out of it as well. It really depends. It really depends on the situation. It really depends with every individual.
Okay, Mr. Lau, I hope that answers your question to Coach Chot. Coach Ariel?
Yes. Final question, Coach Chot. I know we've answered some of them on your, but just your humble opinion. Do you think a Filipino coach can do it coaching Gilas, or we need a foreign coach?
Gandang tanong yan.
Yes.
So
we don't need a foreign. We've tried it before. And I love Tab. I love Mark Nickel. I love, I was the one who brought Tab here to the Philippines, remember? So, I've had great relationships with Raiko Toroman, everybody. And you know how close I am to Tim. And you know how close I am with, even with Coach Norman. So I have huge respect for foreign coaches. But in the end, where did it take us? Diba? Where have we gone with the foreign coaches? So what we did in our system with a Filipino coach, then we made sure we had a lot of very good foreign talent in our coaching staff. In our World Championship staff, I had Tab, I had Nacho Escano, I had the Norman Black, I had all these great coaches. But I think the Filipino coach is the one who's really going to be able to capture the heart of the Filipino. Diba? Maski gaano kagaling yung foreign coach, wala siya yung puso eh. Wala siya yung pusong Pinoy, diba? And hindi nila maintindihan talaga yun eh. Kasi tayo lang makakaintindi talaga nun eh. Yung talaga magpapakamatay tayo. Yes, minsan mapapaaway tayo. And I know we've gone through hell and gotten gotten so much flack for that. But kung talaga Pinoy ka, hindi ka talaga magpapatalo eh. Di ba? Hindi ka talaga magpapatalo. Ano sabi natin sa Tagalog? Patay kung patay eh. Ganun talaga eh. Di ba? Kung ayaw nyo, palitan nyo na lang kami. That's just the way it is. See? So let me ask you, meron bang foreign coach na ganun? So yun lang naman ang tanong ko eh. Nothing against them. I think they're great for Filipino, for Philippine and local basketball. I think they give a lot of value, especially to other upcoming coaches. But in the end, just take a look at the results. Take a look at the results. Where the Filipino coaches have been able to take the national team. And in the end, I guess, whether it's a Filipino or a local coach, the important thing is full support. Players, resources, time to practice. That's the more important thing. Because think about it. Let's get a foreign coach in. And I know they're talking about some European coach bringing him in. And then what? He will come here to practice every Monday, once a week? Tab doesn't even like to do that, right? Diba? Even Tab Baldwin doesn't like that situation. Diba? Yung kukuha ka, then diba, pa-practice ka once a week o pagpa-practice ka 2 weeks na lang bago mag-tournament. Diba? So now they're thinking about forming a separate team just strictly for the World Cup. I think that's a good idea. I think that's a good situation. That's a good direction. But is it foreign or is or a local coach? Why not local? Diba? So I think we're just getting getting nasisilaw lang tayo minsan because of all these great other things around it. But in the end, it's just about coaching, whether foreign or local.
Oh, thank you so much, Coach.
I hope I
Chot.
wasn't too controversial. Alam nyo
No,
naman,
no, no, no.
I speak my mind. So, you know.
I'm sure Ruben Torrado of Spin is writing down. Rick, can you? I'd like to thank personally, Coach. Thank you for your time, and we really learned a lot. I've been taking notes, and for sure I will watch the replay on YouTube channel. And thank you so much, Rick. Can you
Wrap it up.
wrap it up for
Coach
us?
Chot, thank you.
Obviously, an hour is not enough with this man, Coach Chot Reyes. There's really a lot to talk about, a lot to discuss with this man. Hopefully, we can do another one with him, Coach Ariel. But to all the attendees, the coaches are here. Let's give a round of applause to Coach Chot Reyes for his service. More than 3 decades, going 4 decades into basketball. Palakpakan natin kung nasan man tayo.
Thank you for the invite.
Oh, so maraming salamat, and we all ask all the attendees to stay on board for Jimmy Alapag, who's due next, who's on deck.
Yes.
So, salamat.
So they have to log in and go inside again. So they have to log in, go inside again. Again, Coach Chot, to give you the floor for your final remarks. Thank you so much again.
Yeah, I thought my Heart of a Leader model was a perfect segue to Jimmy's talk. He's going to talk about relationships, and I led you right through it, talking about health, emotional intelligence, agility, resilience. Now going into great teammanship, which is built on relationships, and no one better to talk to you about it than Coach Jimmy Alapag, and you all know how proud I am of Jimmy and of Jimmy. So, I hope you stick around, get back in, give a listen to Jimmy. Salamat.
Thank you.
Peace out.
Thank you.
Puso.
Thanks, Coach Chot.
Thank you.